Hey everyone, if you've ever taken pictures of models before, you know that it can be very hit or miss depending on how they've slept that night or how they've felt that morning. So in this video, I'm going to go over a few of the tips that I try to tell my models and tell my clients before shooting with them to maximize our results and try to get the best pictures possible. Let's get into it. The first thing I like to tell them, obviously as I just alluded to it, is to just get a good night's sleep. Too many times you'll shoot with someone who just shows up late or is hungover or has crazy bags under their eyes just because they've overslept, they were stressed out, they were doing this and that and the other. Just know that if they're booking a shoot with you, try to take at least the evening before a little bit quiet. Try to tell them to just be taking it easy, stay at home, do nothing, chill, take care of yourself, and eat. The next thing is definitely to eat. I hate it when people show up and they're like, oh, I can't wait to have a huge burger after this because they're trying to look skinny or something. It makes no difference. Like, do you really think that that half-inch bloat is going to make a difference, that we can't Photoshop out or that we can't light differently or angle you differently? So just calm your model down a little bit and tell them that they should be eating and they should be hydrated because you want them to be holding positions and holding poses in a way that is a lot more difficult than it looks. The whole point of modeling is making it look easy, and it's not necessarily that easy. And you need to have some food in your system so that you're not shaking unless you got tremors like some of us. But for the most part, if you want them to stay still and have a joyful experience with you on set while you're shooting, make sure they're eating before, maybe even have a snack during, and make sure that they're eating and that it's not going to make any difference whether or not they had breakfast that morning, except for the fact that they'll be irritable if they didn't. You know, full-time models, their full job is to be pretty in front of the camera, but most people that will be shooting as portrait photographers won't be. They're not, at the very least, they won't be professional and they won't be full-time, and they will just be the CEO of some company, or they'll be tradesmen, or they'll be people that are from all walks of life, not necessarily just professionally trained models that are thinking about their angles and thinking about their skin and thinking about all that. So another thing you can educate your client is to just tell them to look at themselves in the mirror for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, 5 minutes a day. It's less intimidating that way. Just tell them, look at yourself for 5 minutes the night before. Just look at your face and look at how it looks when you do the things that you think you're doing. Because on camera, it takes away 300% of the action that you're doing. You have to do everything you're doing much more grand and much more, you have to do things much more grand when you're on camera because it just eats away a lot of that. So if you want to smile, you got to really smile. You got to put your whole face into it. You know, look at Jim Carrey, for example, someone who is a master at controlling every inch of their face because they spent years looking at it in the mirror as a kid. So tell that to your model. Just be aware that, you know, if you think you're smiling or you're doing a little smirk or you're doing a little something, but really you're just like, huh? You have to do a little bit more with your face. So tell them to just train themselves in looking at what they look like when they're doing what they think that they're doing. Next up, this is kind of case dependent on what you're shooting, but I always try to tell them to avoid graphics and avoid very loud statements as clothing, because we're taking pictures of them. We're taking portraits of these people, not what they're wearing. Unless, of course, you know, like I said, it's case dependent. If it's a fashion shoot or if it's about the clothing in some way, then yeah, sure, of course. But if you're taking headshots or you're taking pictures of the people, make sure that they're wearing neutral or at the very least flattering colors that helps convey the story of who they are. But it doesn't necessarily take away or distract from that person of who they are. We're trying to take a picture of them, not their clothes. You also don't want to tell them to show up early. Don't even say the word early, because in their mind they'll be thinking about it as oh, I'm doing you a favor by showing up at that time. Just say, let's shoot at 5. Know in the back of your mind that you're actually going to be shooting at 6, and plan that accordingly. If you want to shoot at sunset and you know that you need to be shooting by 6:30, just tell them to meet at 5 and find a way to kill time until then so that you're not, you know, rushing in the last minute to try to get your lights set up or try to get, you know, their makeup on. Like, oh, come on, no, it's okay, just do a different shoot that's easier to walk in or something. Like, don't do that, you know, just plan accordingly, show up early, but don't tell them that it's early. Just tell them this is the time of the shoot, this is how long it takes, and anticipate the wiggle room that you'll need in order to fit in everyone's different flexibility. You know, when I'm working with restaurants or I'm working with storefronts, I show up to this place of business, I know they're gonna be there at 10 o'clock. they got nowhere to run. But people get stuck in traffic. People oversleep. People make mistakes. People don't feel like showing up sometimes. So if you want them to be there and you need them at a specific time, just give yourself some wiggle room. Don't start right at that time. You know, make that in the middle of your shoot so that you're warmed up, you're both shooting, and you know that you're gonna get it. People are gonna be nervous on set. I think as much as I shoot tethered all the time, when I'm shooting with portraits with someone, I don't show them necessarily every picture, especially as they're coming in. I've had it in certain situations or certain studios that I've rented out in the past that have mirrors behind me, and it's a good way for the model to kind of see what they're doing while they're working with you, but it also can be quite a bit of a distraction. Same with that tether screen. I think as much as possible, I like to angle it towards me so that I can see what's going on. I can fine tune the lighting or the focus, things like that, but I don't want them to take a picture and then quickly look at the screen to see how they're doing. Take a picture and then look again at the screen. I don't want them to do that. I want them to be in the zone and in that same flow state that I'm trying to be in. I want them to be just going from pose to pose to pose and forgetting that there is a 32-inch monitor with their face on it. So focus on that interaction, focus on getting the people to be comfortable in front of the camera, but without actually, like, we have to kind of hide all of the gear that we have from them, because to have an interaction with someone, you want to strip down as much of it as possible. But unfortunately, having like 3 C-stands and a cyclo behind you and flashes going off, it takes away from the moment. So as much as possible, you want to try to eliminate all of that, all of those distractions from your client's head, or from, especially for people that aren't used to it, people that aren't shooting full time or aren't models full time. It's a lot, it's distracting, and having a big monitor with their face in it is extremely distracting. So they'll always be doing this and you're gonna miss the shot that you wanna get. So one of the things that you can do is, if you're a studio photographer, let's say, you can take a page out of Richard Avedon's book and have a trigger release, step 3-4 feet away from your camera, and literally just have a conversation with your client and just talk to them and just try to get emotion, try to get laughter, try to get them to look scared, try to get them to look fearful, and just pull out all of these different little things, that whatever it is that you like to shoot, but pull out those emotions from them by completely distancing yourself from the gear. So that in their mind, they can also distance themselves from the gear. If you're hiding behind your little camera and you got, a ring light on it, and you got 3 flashes around you that are going pop, 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 it's distracting. It's a lot. And yeah, sure, it's not hiding a whole lot by just putting your camera on a tripod. If anything, that's adding more gear. But because they're so much more focused on you, because you're talking to them and you're just interacting with the client, then they might lose themselves in the environment that you've put them in, because you're keeping them at ease and you're not worried about the camera, you're not looking at the camera, you're not even thinking about the camera. You just got a trigger release in your hand, you're going click, 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 click. That's all it is. So those are some of the tips that I like to give to my clients to try to prep them for a shoot. I know it's not a very long one today, but let me know if you do anything different. Let me know what you tell your clients, and you can kind of help out the other photographers down in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you in a couple days. Later.